Hi, welcome to Camp Happy Mail. I'm so glad you joined me today for another crafty video. This right here, this is my big box of colored images. I color a ton. If you've seen any of my videos, you've seen this box before. I color everything from florals to characters to you name it, I will color it. Today, what I'm planning to do is I have 3 backgrounds that I've already pulled out of this box. I'm going to show those to you here in a second. But I've pulled these out. They are 3 of the same image. These are a stamped image from Hero Arts and Pink Fresh Studio. And they are colored with all different mediums in different color schemes. And I'm going to show you how you can take the same image colored in different color schemes and make 3 different cards for 3 different occasions. This is something that I like to do as often as I can because it makes my card making go a little bit easier, and on days when I don't have a lot of time, I can easily put together a set of these cards and then I have them for later. So this first card was colored with Prismacolor pencils in the blue and the plum color scheme. I tried to find color cardstock that matched as best I could as to what I had colored. And now I was just deciding which one do I want to be the card base and which one should be the matting layer. So this is a normal A2 size card, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I decided on the plum color for the card. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this down right to the edges of where the image is so that I can pull out other dies to cut this down further so that we have a nice matting layer. The nice thing about this image, I mean, it is florals, it could be kind of girly, but it could also be a masculine card as well. And like I said, you can use these for any occasions. This one has a big space in the center for a sentiment. And if you look at it, that shape in the center kind of looks like a heart, which I thought was kind of cool. I don't know if that was intentional or not. You can certainly turn this upside down and it wouldn't be a heart. The option is yours with an image like this. So I've decided which size I needed to trim that panel down even further so that we'll be able to see that nice blue border behind it. So I'm going to put my panel at an angle. You always want to put your panels at an angle going through your machine. It's a lot easier on the rollers in your machine to put a straight edge through it at an angle rather than head on. So now that we've got this piece cut, we're going to start to put this together. I do need to figure out how big I want the mat to be on this, and the mat is going to be in that blue color. So I'm going to use the same dies. Those dies, by the way, are from Hero Arts. That it is their rectangle infinity dies. It's a great set to add to your collection if you don't already have infinity dies in the rectangle shape. There is no stitching or anything like that. They are just straight edge dies. My usual way of doing things, I rarely measure anything. So I eyeballed up that blue piece of paper on top of the plum cardstock and decided how big I wanted or how wide I wanted my border to be. And now I'm just going to glue down that blue piece of paper onto the card base. The glue I'm using is just standard white glue. I believe that might be Barely Arts glue. You can use anything that you want to adhere your panels down. It's totally up to you. I prefer to use the liquid glue. It tends to hold for me better over time than, say, a tape adhesive, but it's 100% up to you what you want to do. So now I've just glued the image down as well, and I'm going to add a panel in on the inside. For the inside panels, I like to use the Fawn dies. It's a set of nested dies, and it has this stitching around it. And I tend to cut these out in bulk, so I have them handy and I don't have to cut them each time. And then that gives me a nice place to write on the inside, and it's jazzed up a little bit because of that stitched border. So now we're going to work on the sentiment for the inside. I've got this set here. I don't remember who that's by. I can look it up for you though. And we're just simply going to stamp this in the middle of the card. And I am going to use plum that matches my plum cardstock. And it's just a very, very basic card with very, very basic plain Jane matting on it. Nothing too frilly, so you could use this as a masculine card or as a feminine card. There's nothing about this that says that it has to just be given to a female. So yeah, so there we are. That is our first card, one and done. For the second card, this one does have a similar color scheme to the first, in that there are blue and purplish colored flowers, but we are not going to have purple as the mat or the card base on this one. I am going to mat this in a layer of dark blue to pull out the blue in the flowers. I'm using a Fawn stitched rectangle die, And again, we're going to put this in here slightly at an angle to run it through. And this is going to give us a really nice stitched border. I like to use this die set. It's probably my most used die set of everything that I own. It just gives a little something extra to the card. And now I'm going to take the Hero Arts dies. These are the ones that are just plain dies. And I'm going to measure to find one that will fit inside of that stitched area. And then I'm going to cut down my image with that die. So that the matted layer will have that stitched around it, and it'll just look nice. It's nothing too fancy, nothing too frilly. This could definitely be a guy or a girl card. Okay, so now that we have those pieces, I'm going to go ahead and just like with the other one, I'm going to mount the blue base onto the card base. Standard white glue, same white glue as before. That is Barely Arts glue, by the way. So we're going to put this layer down, and I'm noticing that it's a little bit short for my card base, so I'm going to take and trim that off briefly, and then we're going to go ahead and put the image down. And then we're going to decide on the sentiment. I do believe this is going to be a birthday card, if I remember correctly. So I turned that one around. I do like that the shape forms a heart, and I tend to use it in that way. Whether the people receiving it notice that or not, well, that's on them. But I know it's there, and I kind of like that effect to it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put the happy birthday down on there. You can, like I said, you can use any sentiment that you have. It doesn't have to be birthday. It doesn't have to be thinking of you. I just pulled out sentiments that, honestly, I had not used up to this point. That was one of my goals with this, was to pull out some different stamp sets that I had not used and to actually use them. So, yep, that one says happy birthday. And I've just got a blue ink pad that matches close to my border. Got a little overzealous with the ink there. I always do that with these ink pads. I'm going to stamp this down. It's not going to stamp perfectly the first time, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp that again and again, overzealous with the ink pad. And we're going to stamp it the second time. And that should be good. And that is our second card. Quick, easy, anybody can do this. For the third card, because pink is one of the primary colors in this one with those big pink flowers, I decided to go ahead and make this one just a little bit more fancy than the first two. I've picked a card base that kind of matches those pink flowers, and then I have some glitter paper there. That glitter cardstock, I believe is Memory Box, but I'm not certain. You can get glitter cardstock pretty much anywhere. I can put a couple of links in the description for you. So basically, I'm going to cut out a scalloped edge border using a die from Honeybee. And I'm going to cut that out of the glitter cardstock. And this will sit on top of the card base. If I would have thought about this, I would have put this on a white card base. Because as you'll see, whenever I glue this down, you're not going to be able to see the scallops on the borders real well. They do show up in person, but not real well on this video. It would have been a better choice to put this on a white card base. But anyways, so I'm looking at this piece of cardstock, and I'm thinking, I could probably save some of this for another card. I do this often on my cards. If I'm using specialty cardstock, I will cut out the centerpiece. Nobody will ever know that you did it. And then you have that extra piece of glitter cardstock that you can use on another card. So the basic idea is that you want to cut a framed section out of or a shape out of the center of the cardstock that you can fill with another color. In this case, it's going to be white. And then I'm just going to save that piece. But I am going to cut out the same size shape out of this white cardstock. And that will eventually get taped into that frame. The panel that I'm going to put down is going to totally cover that. Nobody will ever know that I cut that out. I had considered with this one doing multiple layers of matting on this. And then I changed my mind and decided to just cut this panel down a little bit smaller than it was so that it would fit inside of the stitched border of that pink glitter frame. So with my pieces now cut, now we'll go ahead and start to assemble. To put this white piece back into the center of this, the reason for that is because when you start to assemble this card, you don't want your other papers to sink down into that space. So I'm just using standard household Scotch tape to glue to put the white piece of cardstock in the middle of it. And then I'm going to glue my colored panel on top of that, and you'll never know that that piece was under there like that. So again, with the white glue, especially on the glitter paper, this is no shed glitter paper, And I've found that using white glue, it tends to adhere better rather than using like an adhesive tape runner. The tape runners tend to come apart real easily. So if you are going to use glitter paper or metallic paper, you probably do want to use some kind of a liquid glue, just so you get it to adhere better. So I'm going to go ahead and put some glue all around this piece. I'm going to put extra on this because I definitely don't want this to come apart after the person has received it. So lots of glue on this one. And then we're just going to mount this whole piece onto that card base. And now you'll see what I was talking about, where you can't really see the definition between the glitter cardstock and the card base, whereas if I had put this on a white piece of cardstock for the card base, you would have been able to see the scallops a little bit better. But I promise you can see them in person, and they look pretty cool. So again, I turned this with the heart side up, and I'm now taking this stamp set, and I'm going to figure out which of these birthday sentiments that I want to put in here. And I am going to stamp this in pink ink that matches that glitter cardstock and the card base and the flowers. So this one, yes, it is more girly. There's nothing that says you couldn't send this to a guy. Like, I could definitely send this to my husband, and he would appreciate it just as much as he would appreciate it if it was all in blue. Again, overzealous with the ink pad there. The problem is I tend to rock the ink pad whenever I tap it down on my stamps, and that's why I end up with it on the lid. And that is card 3. So now, we need to put the insert on the inside. Again, that is a rectangle that was cut out with a Lawn Fawn stitched rectangle die. And we're just going to glue this in the center, and that just kind of dresses up the inside of the card, and it gives me an extra place to write things. And now I'm going to go ahead and lay out all 3 of the cards here so you can see 3 different occasions. Well, 2 of them are birthday, 1 is a thank you. 3 different color schemes decorated different ways. And we have one more thing to do to these. I didn't stamp the back of these. So I do stamp the back of all of my cards. I have a couple of custom stamps that were made by Magnuson Custom Stamps. I'll put a link in the description. This one has both my first and my last name on it, which means that most likely I'm going to give these away to somebody as a set for them to give away to somebody else. Whenever I give away cards as a gift set, I tend to use a stamp that has both my first and my last name on it. If I'm giving these to friends or family, somebody that I know, I do have custom stamps that just have my first name on it because they already know my last name. This video gave you some quick ideas for how to put together some easy cards using the same image, different color schemes, a couple of different themes, and an easy set of cards to give. So thank you for joining me today, and I will see you in the next video.